My wife told me, "You're sleeping on the couch until you apologize for something you did." And I told her, "All right, then I'm not apologizing." That was the start of it. For weeks later, I'd converted our so-called guest room into something between a studio apartment and a fortress of peace. And the wild part is how it all started. A misstep so small it was almost invisible, yet it ended up bulldozing our entire life. I'm Jake, 39, living in Denver, Colorado. My wife, well, my estranged wife at this point, is Amanda, 35, who does brand marketing. I'm a project manager for a residential construction firm. We've been married close to 8 years. Our house is a neat little 2-story brick place in a quiet neighborhood where the big excitement is who puts up Halloween decorations first. We share the mortgage and split most household bills, but we've always kept our personal spending money separate. It used to make sense. Now it's the only reason I didn't lose my mind. The beginning of the end of our marriage was a cardboard box. Our new neighbors, Kayla and Brandon, had just moved in 2 doors down. I was taking the trash out on a Thursday night when I saw Kayla struggling with a massive box. I offered a hand, we carried it to her door, and then we had the standard 2-minute neighbor chat about trash days and snowplows. It was utterly trivial, no lingering, no flirting, nothing. Amanda saw us through the living room window. When I came back in, she was waiting, arms folded, face tight. "Don't gaslight me," she said before I even opened my mouth. "I saw you all over her." All over her? I laughed because I thought it was absurd. I carried a box. "Jake, you flirted with the girl next door in front of our house. You were practically drooling on her." I tried to explain that I literally lifted one end of a box and walked 20 steps. It didn't matter. She declared the sentence right away. "You're on the couch until you admit what you did and apologize." I stood there for a moment, brain fizzing with confusion and anger. Then I said, "Okay." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't try to negotiate. I simply refused to apologize for something I hadn't done. My conscience was clear, and I wasn't going to betray it for the sake of a quiet night. Night 1 on the couch was brutal. Our couch is great for movie nights and terrible for sleeping. My back sounded like bubble wrap in the morning. Amanda came downstairs, watched me pour coffee, and said, "Ready to apologize?" "No," I said, and handed her the sugar. She glared and left for work. By night 3, I was done with the couch. We have a guest room that mostly served as a graveyard for old boxes, a futon, and half of Amanda's excess closet. I grabbed a pillow and slept on that futon. Still not great, but better than the couch. The next morning, Amanda peered in and said, "The couch too rough for you?" "Yep." "Then apologize." "Nope." She smirked like she'd won a round. "Enjoy the futon." That's when our stupid argument morphed into the slowest, pettiest chess match of my life. I make good money as a project manager, and Amanda does well too. After mortgage, utilities, and essentials, we both have personal accounts. I've been saving about $1,800 for a new set of specialty tools and a weekend trip to Moab with my buddy Mark. I decided to redirect that money into something more immediate. On day 5, I ordered a queen-size memory foam mattress online for $760 with a delivery window that week. On day 9, I scoured Marketplace like a scavenger on a mission and scored a leather recliner for $230, a solid wood desk for $140, and a 54-inch TV for $310 from a guy who was moving. Mark let me borrow his pickup. While Amanda was at her sister Ashley's place that Saturday, I moved everything in. On day 12, packages started rolling up like it was my birthday. A compact microwave for $65. A small but surprisingly capable mini fridge for $150. Floating shelves for $45 and a thick, dark rug for $115 that pulled the space together. On day 16, I got indulgent. A PlayStation for $480 and a soundbar for $220. On day 20, finishing touches, smart LED strips, a couple of framed album prints I'd always wanted to hang, and my crown jewel, a keypad deadbolt for the guest room door, $170, worth every penny. By the end of week 4, I'd spent roughly $2,910 of my personal savings turning that ignored guest room into a calm, comfortable, undeniably mine place. The master bedroom was spotless and curated to Amanda's taste. My new room had everything I needed: simple dark woods, plenty of power strips, a place for my coffee. But its single best feature was something I couldn't buy: zero judgment. Amanda didn't step inside once. She'd knock sometimes, lecturing me through the door about how I was being ridiculous. I think she expected me to cave in a couple of days. The longer I didn't, the more it felt like we were in one of those stale standoffs where no one remembers how to climb down. The first real showdown happened the night she grabbed the handle and it didn't turn. I was playing Warzone with Mark when I heard the rattle. "Jake, why is this door locked?" "Privacy," I said, pausing the game. "Open this door right now." "No thanks," I said, and sat back down. She banged on it hard once, twice, 3 times. "Open the door immediately." I stood, walked over, and leaned close enough to talk through the frame without raising my voice. "You banished me from our bedroom, so this is my space. You're welcome to apologize any time." "I am not apologizing," she said, voice shaking. "I saw what I saw. Open this door." "No." She called her mom, Linda, and put the call on speaker so I'd hear it. Very on brand. "Mom, he's lost it." "He locked himself in the guest room," Amanda said. "What do you mean he's locked in his own house?" Linda asked, loud enough for the neighbors to hear. "How is that even a thing?" "He put a keypad lock on the guest room. An actual lock." "Why is he in the guest room?" Linda asked. "Because he's being punished," Amanda started, then paused. "Because he was flirting with the neighbor." "Was he really?" Linda asked, and to her credit, she sounded skeptical. Silence. "He helped her carry a box." "That's it?" Linda asked. Even she couldn't sell it to herself. "Honey, maybe you should apologize." Amanda hung up. She threatened a locksmith. I told her we both co-own the house, and I'd already checked that interior locks were fine as long as they don't stop anyone from getting out in an emergency. She must have looked it up too, because she dropped the locksmith idea. Then came the texts. Long strings accusing me of acting like a child, reminding me the guest room was for guests, telling me my clothes were still in our closet. I replied that I bought some new basics and hung them in my closet now. She said, "You can't just claim a room." I said, "You claimed the entire master bedroom and kicked me out. I'm using what's left." That didn't go over great. While I was at work the next morning, she finally went inside. I knew because I'd installed a small, plainly visible camera in the room that pointed at the door and the main area, for my things not to spy on her. Perfectly legal here as long as it isn't a private space like a bathroom. I watched the clip after lunch. Amanda opened the door, stepped in, and just froze, her face going slack with disbelief. She walked around slowly, touching the desk, the TV, the recliner, the mini fridge. She found the PlayStation last, then sat on the bed and stared. Every muscle in her face seemed at war with itself. Frustration tightened her jaw, while disbelief kept her eyes wide and unfocused. That night, she sat at the kitchen table. No fury this time, just a tired, pinched look. "So you really set up an apartment in there?" she said. "It's a room," I said, "with a fridge and a microwave and a PlayStation. That's all." "How much did that cost?" "My personal savings," I said. "Not marital money." She was quiet for a long time. "You're really not going to apologize?" "I'm really not going to apologize for something I didn't do," I said. "So what's the plan? You camp in there forever?" "Until you apologize for accusing me and kicking me out of my own bedroom," I said. "Pretty much." "This is ridiculous," she said. "It was ridiculous 4 weeks ago when you started it," I said, and left it at that. From there, the Cold War turned into a series of weird skirmishes. She tried to weaponize chores, stopped doing my laundry. Joke was on her. I bought a combo washer-dryer from a guy across town for $420. It fit in a corner of my room next to the shelves. She stopped cooking extra at dinner. Fine, I had the microwave, started meal prepping Sundays, and bought an $80 air fryer that lived on the desk. Then she staged a house meeting with her best friend, Lauren, acting as a mediator. We sat in the living room like we were on some reality show. Lauren looked from me to Amanda. Jake, don't you think this has gone too far? I'm respecting Amanda's decision, I said. She told me to get out of our bedroom, so I'm out. But you've turned the guest room into a man cave, Lauren said. It's supposed to be for visitors. What visitors? I asked. Your mom who refuses to stay here because she hates our guest bathroom? Your brother who hasn't been in Denver in more than 2 years? The room was wasted space. Now it's used space. You're being spiteful, Amanda said. I'm not being spiteful, I said. I'm being comfortable. There's a big difference. Amanda tried what she clearly thought was her trump card. Fine. Then I'm taking the master bathroom completely. You can use the hall bathroom. Okay, I said. She blinked, thrown off by how simple it was. I moved my stuff that night and, because I was on a roll, upgraded it. A rainfall shower head for $60, a Japanese-style bidet seat for $210, plus heavy towels, a eucalyptus plant, and a small humidifier. In 2 days, the hall bath felt like a boutique hotel. Meanwhile, Amanda realized claiming the master bath meant maintaining the master bath. She complained to Ashley on speaker one night, and through the thin walls I heard, he doesn't even use it anymore. He bought a bidet. Ashley said something like, "What's a bidet?" And I almost laughed out loud. The next twist came courtesy of Amanda's job. Her company announced a hybrid setup. 3 days in the office, 2 from home. She needed a home office, and in her head, that meant reclaiming the guest room. She knocked at 7 in the morning. We need to talk about the guest room. My room, I said. It needs to be an office. I start working from home in a month. That's great, I said. Set up in the master bedroom. It's huge. There's no space with the bed and dressers, she said. Rearrange them, I said. You'll figure it out. She tried to bargain. I'll let you back in the bedroom if you give me the office. But I'd still have to apologize, right? Of course. Then no. She slammed the door. 20 minutes later, I heard drilling in the living room. She mounted a small desk and created an office in the corner near the TV. The one spot I used to watch games sometimes. The real escalation came when I got home one afternoon to see scratch marks all around the keypad. Someone had tried to pry off the lock. I confronted her. Did you try to break into my room? It's not your room, she said, arms crossed. Did you or did you not try to break the lock? I needed to check if you were damaging the house. It's my house too. Her voice wobbled, but the stubborn tone stayed. It's our house, which is why what you attempted is called destruction of property, I said calmly. She went pale. Don't do that again, I added. That night I installed a small hallway camera facing my door. I left the tiny red light on so there'd be no confusion. Mark came by to watch a game later that week. When Amanda saw him go into my room, she blew up. You can't have people in there. Why not? It's my room. I don't want strangers in my house. Mark's been here 100 times, I said. You went to his wedding. She called the police. I wish I were joking. The officer who responded had the seen it all before looked down to a science. His weary eyes sizing up our petty drama with a profound lack of interest. He listened to her, then listened to me. Ma'am, he said. Does he live here? Yes, but... Is he threatening you? No, but... Is he breaking any laws? He put a lock on a door, she said weakly. In a house he owns, the officer finished. He turned to me. You two might want to consider counseling. After he left, Amanda sent me a payment request for $1,460 labeled, half your room furnishings, marital property. I declined it and sent her one for $1,980 for half of bedroom furnishings I'm not allowed to use. She declined and sent one for $520 for emotional distress. I sent one for $1 for box carrying services. Radio silence after that. Should have calmed down. Didn't. She changed the Wi-Fi password. I responded by getting my own internet line installed directly to my room at $95 per month. The tech raised an eyebrow but took the check. She started hosting these noisy wine nights and book clubs right outside my door, heavy on laughter and commentary about men who don't value their wives. I turned up the soundbar and pulled the blackout curtains. Then she crossed my line. I came home one Tuesday and my door stood wide open. The keypad lock had been removed. Inside, the room had been touched. Everything moved a little wrong. The mini fridge was unplugged, my bed stripped, the PlayStation unplugged and set on the desk. A note lay on the pillow. Maintenance inspection required management. We own the house. There is no management. I called her. What the hell, Amanda? The room needed inspection, she said. I was checking for damages. You removed my lock and messed with my stuff, I said. It's not breaking in if I own the house. She sounded satisfied with that. You destroyed my property. Prove you didn't, I said. Then I stopped arguing and said, okay. I had been documenting everything. I kept every receipt, every text where she admitted to kicking me out and tried to break in, a copy of the police incident note, photos of the tampered keypad. I called a lawyer, not to jump straight to divorce, but to draw bright lines. A legal separation, an agreement to assign rooms, a paper trail stating that she had forced me out of the bedroom and had removed a lock I paid for from my room. 3 days later, she got served. The paperwork requested exclusive use of the guest room, replacement cost for the lock, and a formal division of household spaces. She came to me crying, real tears, hands twisting. You got a lawyer? You broke into my room and tore out my lock, I said, after you kicked me out of our bedroom for carrying a box. You're going to destroy our marriage over this? You tried to break into it. You called the cops. You changed the Wi-Fi. None of that is me destroying anything. She hired her own lawyer. According to mine, even her lawyer wasn't optimistic. The facts were lopsided in a way you can't pretty up. So Amanda shifted strategies. She tried seduction, walking around the house in lingerie, cooking elaborate meals and eating them at the table with me in earshot, bringing home desserts from my favorite bakery and setting them on the counter without a word. I kept meal prepping, kept to my room, kept my distance. She tried weaponized neighborliness next. She invited Kayla and Brandon over for dinner. I walked in to find them seated at our dining table, Kayla looking like she wanted to disappear. Jake, join us, Amanda sang. We're getting to know our new neighbors. I've got plans, I said, grabbing a protein shake. Don't be rude, honey, she said, smiling like a TV hostess. Please. I'm good, I said. Kayla stood so fast her chair scraped. Actually, we should go, she blurted. Early morning tomorrow. But you just got here, Amanda protested. So sorry, Kayla said. And Brandon muttered an apology as they hustled out. As the door shut, Amanda spun on me. You embarrassed me. You embarrassed yourself, I said. You invited the woman you accused me of flirting with to make some point that doesn't exist. I was being friendly. You were being manipulative, I said. We were breaking apart by then. A week later, Amanda packed bags and moved into Ashley's spare room for a little while. She left a note that said, "Since you want to live alone so badly." The quiet hit me then. I sat on my bed, the comfy one I bought myself, and listened to a house with just one heartbeat in it. I wanted my wife to admit she'd made a mistake. That was it. I wasn't trying to win. I wanted the truth on the table. But if the cost of peace in my own home was apologizing for something I didn't do, then peace could wait. She texted every few hours from Ashley's. The messages swung from, "I miss you," to "You're ruining everything," to "Just say sorry and we'll forget it," and then back again. I got the house appraised and spoke with my lawyer about buyout options. I started therapy, honestly should have done that a long time ago. I kept improving the room because projects calm me down. I added a small beer fridge because I could. The day I slid 2 chilled bottles in, it felt like winning a very stupid contest. Amanda returned 2 weeks later with her brother Eric and a rented truck. I was working from home that day when I heard the rumble outside. She walked in like she was staging an intervention. "I'm taking my things," she announced. "Okay," I said, standing. "What do you need help with?" The bedroom furniture, she said, lifting her chin. Half of it is mine. Then I'm taking the bed and the dresser, she added. You can have the nightstands. Cool, I said. She had expected a fight and was irritated not to get one. Eric stepped forward, puffed up. You really messed up, he said. You made my sister feel unwanted in her own home. She kicked me out of our bedroom for helping someone carry a box. I said. That's not what she told me, Eric said. I'm shocked, I said, and meant it in the least shocked way possible. I want the living room TV, Amanda said next. I bought it before we got married. I have the receipt, I said, pulling it up. We bought it together our second year. She turned red. Fine. The kitchen appliances then. We bought those together too, I said. You can take half. How do I take half a microwave? That's not my problem, I said. Just like sleeping on the couch wasn't yours. Eric grabbed for the coffee maker on the counter. I stepped in front of it. That's actually from my room, I said. Bought it 6 weeks ago. I showed him the order page. He put it down. Amanda grabbed the old coffee maker instead. This one then. Go ahead, I said. They spent almost 3 hours moving through the house, taking some things, arguing over others. Amanda tried to claim my gaming chair from my room by arguing it had belonged to the guest room before. And you kicked me into the guest room, I said. This chair is mine. She muttered something about a judge, and I said, let a judge decide. She backed down. The real explosion happened in the attic. I had divided the storage space down the middle with tape and added a padlock to my side. My camping gear, old photo albums, a box of keepsakes from my dad. I left her side of the line completely open, giving her full access to her holiday bins and childhood mementos. She found the tape line, came down furious. You took more space. I took exactly half, I said. It's measured. This is pathetic, she said. Adults who get kicked out of their bedrooms end up measuring storage space, I said. Welcome to the show. Dude, Eric chimed in, stepping closer. You're being a petty little. I cut him off. Choose your next words carefully. You're in my house. It's my sister's house too, he snapped. For now, I said. That shut them both up. Amanda stared at me, hurt and angry all at once. What do you mean, for now? It means this is over, Amanda, I said. We're getting divorced. You're divorcing me over this? I'm divorcing you over the pattern, Amanda, I said. Over you kicking me out for helping a neighbor. Over false accusations. Refusing to apologize. Breaking into my room. Ripping out my lock. Calling the police on me in my own home. And turning every moment into a test. Over making me prove my innocence for doing nothing wrong. She sank to the hallway floor and put her head in her hands. This isn't how it was supposed to go. How was it supposed to go? I asked. You were supposed to apologize, she said softly, looking at the wall. Sleep on the couch a couple of nights. Feel bad. Then come back and appreciate me more. Appreciate you for falsely accusing me? I asked. That's not how respect works. Eric helped her stand. Come on, Amanda, he said. They left with the truck half full. She cried as the tailgate closed. He muttered something about lawyers. 2 weeks after that, the divorce was filed. She pushed for counseling instead. The court sent us to a mediator. The mediator listened to both sides, looked at the timeline and said gently, I'm not sure counseling is going to help here. Her lawyer eventually told her to take a buyout. I'm keeping the house and paying her for her share of equity. It's worth it for the quiet. Our last text thread sticks in my mind. This is really it over a box? She wrote. It was never about the box. I wrote back. Then what? Respect. I wrote. Trust. Partnership. You didn't show any. I was jealous, she wrote. It's normal. Jealousy is normal. I wrote. What came after wasn't. So you're just giving up? She asked. I'm moving on, I said. From the last 8 weeks that showed me who you really are. She didn't reply. I'm not going to pretend I danced around the kitchen celebrating. The house felt eerie at first, echoey, like it didn't recognize the new arrangement. The master bedroom felt like someone else's museum, and the guest room felt like a ship I built in the storm. I spent a Saturday moving the bed into the master with Mark's help. Walking into that room the next morning felt like a reclaiming and a haunting at the same time. I decided the master would be a sleep-only zone, white sheets, no TV, no phone chargers across the room, so I actually rest. The former guest room stays my hangout, console and small desk and bookshelves, and that very important lock. Friends had opinions. One woman I grabbed coffee with said, "So you turned a guest room into a man cave instead of just apologizing?" And then smiled and called me a legend. Another person said I was too stubborn. They can both be right about different parts of me. I'm okay with that. As for Kayla and Brandon, the supposed origin of the apocalypse, Brandon waved me down last week and asked if I wanted to come over for beers. We sat on their back porch under string lights while their dog kept dropping a chewed-up tennis ball on my shoe. They told me that dinner at my place was the most awkward 30 minutes of their adult lives. Amanda apparently spent most of it telling stories about our perfect marriage while blinking too much and refilling wine no one wanted. They confessed they'd actually considered moving, just to escape the sheer awkwardness of being caught in the middle of something so toxic. I told them I didn't blame them. Do I wish it hadn't gone this way? Absolutely. Do I regret refusing to apologize? No. If I had apologized to make the storm stop, we'd still be on that treadmill. Every disagreement would end with me saying sorry to prove I cared. That isn't care. That's surrender dressed up as love. People ask if small hills are worth dying on. Sometimes, yeah. Not because the hill matters, but because of the mountain behind it. My hill was a cardboard box, a keypad on a door, and a futon that turned into a rail bed. The mountain was respect. If I let that slide, I'd lose more than sleep. I sleep fine now. The house is quiet, not hollow. The keypad stays on my door because I like choosing who comes in. I cook simple meals, not out of spite, but because I like knowing what I'm eating. I see my therapist on Tuesdays. I'm learning that standing up for yourself doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes it's staying put. Sometimes it's a steady no. If you're stuck in a spot where the only path forward is saying you were wrong when you weren't, pause. Ask what that apology will cost you in a month, in a year. Ask who you'll be if you keep paying that price. I asked, and I didn't like the answer. So this is how my marriage ended. Not with an affair or a scandal, but with a cardboard box and 2 minutes of neighborly help. Sounds silly when I say it out loud. It's also the truth. Thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed this, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel.